The first time I ever heard of Dr. Dre was through NWA, but his story started well before that. Dre was part of World Class Wrecking Crew. World Class Wrecking Crew is a pioneering group, a hip-hop group from the early 80s. Their most famous song would be Turn Off the Lights. Before you turn off the lights, let's make one thing understood. If you plan to make love to me, you gotta do it good. That was the joint back in the day.
Dre came to me fresh out of high school with kids already. DA was on his ass. He wasn't but 17. If I hadn't bought him his first drum machine, gave him unlimited access to my studio with keyboards, because I never really played instruments. I own everything, but I provided the platform. I built the studios. I bought the turntables. I'm a hell of a DJ, but when they started playing, I let them play. I wasn't worried about the money. Okay, but when it came time to hit the stage, I was always right there next to everybody else. Dre was always an experimenter. Dre loved the studio, you know. But again, where does a kid from Compton get unlimited studio time without even have to worry about giving nobody any money to do anything? You can't do that today. Okay, so without Lonzo giving him the inspiration and the ability to make records, and we was making bootleg records first. You know, he started working with an unknown DJ, started working with me. We were selling records. We was making record money in the early 80s.
But Dre was part of that group with the group leader, Alonzo Williams, who is my mentor, as well as my co-host, as well as my personal friend. So I know a lot about Dr. Dre. But me personally, let's see, when I first heard Dr. Dre, was it Express Yourself? I'm sitting here trying to think the first time I actually heard Dr. Dre's voice. Not necessarily his production, but his actual voice. And I think it was Express Yourself. Yo, I don't smoke weed or assess, cause it's known to give a brother brain damage. And brain damage on the mic don't manage nothing but being a sucker and you equal. Don't be another sequel. Express yourself. Do it good. Y'all remember that song. That was a good song. That was a very, very good song. Very ironically, Dre did say he doesn't smoke, eat, or cess because it's known to give a brother brain damage. How funny is it that just 5 short years later, he would release an album called The Chronic, and he would be one of the biggest proponents of marijuana. Dre is a product of Compton, California. The city of Compton has produced so much talent. Dre went to Vanguard Junior High in Compton. Then he transferred to a safer school due to the rising gang violence in the area. Shortly after high school, Dre became a DJ at the world famous Eve After Dark, a club that was ran and owned by my mentor and friend Alonzo Williams.
Eazy and Dre came to the club trying to get in, and I wouldn't let them in. They were too young. Okay, but because that 18 over was my policy, not a law, it was my call. Okay, and I told Dre, hit me up, told me who he was. I knew his dad, and I did. I knew it was off with everybody, and I told him, go change clothes. I'll let you in. He did that.
Shortly after becoming a DJ at Eve After Dark, Dre was approached by Alonzo Williams to join the group World Class Wrecking Crew, which released their first debut album on Crew Cut Records in 1985. The group was more of an electro hop type of group. A lot of dancing, a lot of breathing. I don't know what it was with the 80s, but they loved to breathe in songs, man. Every other song in the 80s had heavy breathing. I hope they were doing their breath exercises, because just doing that for like 10 seconds got me lightheaded. And just imagine being in the studio with someone who didn't brush their teeth that day and they got some funky ass breath and they're just like,
we were doing records, and my plan was to do a record for each crew member. First Slice was about Yella. surgery was about Dre. By the time we got to Juice, we were so popular in the schools, we started putting the schools' names in there as opposed to our own. And that's why, in Juice Gardena has Juice, Centennial has Juice, and that put us all over the radio. That made us one of the hottest records in the city because we put all the local high school names in the song. We were still doing, still doing Doodles and Skateland, and that just made us hot as fish grease, dude. Hot as fish grease. And because everything I had in the studio, I had on tour. So we went on the road, we had a vocoder. So I got a vocoder. I mean, I have a digital voice, converter right now. It's not a vocoder, but it has a vocoder sound to it. So when we go out and do a real show, we take that with us and we can still get the same sound.
But Dre got a lot of slack even later on in the Chronic album and during his beef with Eazy-E, because during this time, Dre was wearing sequins outfits and he was wearing eyeliner and things like that. This was the 80s, keep in mind. In the early 80s, they had a weird-ass style, and a lot of it involved men wearing makeup. I know that sounds crazy now. Well, actually, it doesn't sound crazy now. But it was kind of still seen then as like, okay, those crazy rock guys over there and their makeup. But Dre was dressing like the princes of the world. Prince was huge back then. Huge. So they were emulating what they were seeing. And according to all accounts, man, they were getting the women. They were getting the ladies dressed like this. Like this was their costume that they wore when they were on stage, when they were part of a group.
Remember in Straight Outta Compton, the movie, they had the purple marching jackets that Eazy always teased us about? You guys look like you're going to the marching band. Well, Dre, that's not true. Dre loved that jacket. We did our first album called World Class, named after our group. And again, that's me, Black, DJ Clientele, DJ Yellow with the lace glove on, and Dr. Dre looking a little suspect. He hates that picture right there. He can't stand that picture. Because if you see this picture up close, he has on makeup. And it's real hard to be a tough guy wearing makeup. Eazy-E once licensed that picture from me, a picture like that, and from that same photo shoot, for like $2,000 when he was mad at Dre. When they did the Compton City G's, he paid me 2 racks to just license that picture.
This was the 80s, keep in mind. In the early 80s, they had a weird-ass style, and a lot of it involved men wearing makeup. I know that sounds crazy now. Well, actually, it doesn't sound crazy now. But it was kind of still seen then as like, okay, those crazy rock guys over there and their makeup. But Dre was dressing like the princes of the world. Prince was huge back then. Huge. So they were emulating what they were seeing. And according to all accounts, man, they were getting the women. They were getting the ladies dressed like this. Like this was their costume that they wore when they were on stage, when they were part of a group. So yeah, Dre got a lot of slack because, he went from that to the quote gangster image. In 1992, Dre comes out with the Raiders hats and the Dickies, and he's talking about smoking weed now. And it was just a totally different Dr. Dre than a lot of people were used to. But Dr. Dre was a pivotal part of World Class Wrecking Crew, and he was an amazing DJ by all accounts. The streets loved Dr. Dre's mixes. He was exceptional. He was amazing. He stood out, and it's no wonder that he became one of the greatest DJs of all time. But him and Alonzo had their relationship or whatever. I know that Alonzo has mentioned on our show and in interviews that he bailed Dr. Dre out of jail a few times. Dre was, he was a little hothead. He was getting arrested all the time, speeding tickets, not being paid, and things like that. And he would end up in jail. And Alonzo Williams bailed him out twice, but he wouldn't bail him out a third time. According to Alonzo Williams, he didn't want to bail Dr. Dre out due to a lesson that his father taught him. He said, look, I'll bail you out of jail one time because we all make mistakes, right? I'll bail you out of 2 times because sometime we don't, just might not get it from the first, but there's no way in hell I'm bailing you out a third time. That's what Lonzo's father told Lonzo, and Lonzo passed that down to Dr. Dre. So Lonzo did not bail Dre out the third time. Guess who did bail Dre out the third time? Eazy-E.
Back in the day, a warrant wasn't but $166. That's all. A warrant was $166. Now, at this time, when that shit was going down, that was a lot of money for all of us, because we all was pretty much financially dry. Jerry curls was dry. Beef was getting turned off left and right. Shit was not going very well for us, and I got him out twice. Damn near about 3 or 4 weeks apart. And this is something I told him, and I say this all the time. Anybody, even all my sons, like my dad told me, I'm gonna get you out the first time because everybody's gonna make that mistake in most cases. Second time, you might didn't figure it out, but I'm gonna come get you again. Third time, nigga, you got a bad habit going. You need to figure this out for yourself.
Dre, Ice Cube, and Eazy released a project, and it had the streets humming, so much so it has done something that no other rap album has been able to do since, and it was selling millions and millions and millions with no airplay, no radio play. And the one song that propelled them, that pushed them over the top, that had the world talking, was F the Police.
I know for a fact what happened. They got hit up on the freeway.
Oh, okay.
That story is in my audio book. Okay? The story of Fuck the Police, what I know, I think it's like chapter 5 or 6, maybe a little bit deeper, I'm not sure. They got jammed by the police on the freeway for shooting paintballs, and they almost got killed. Okay? They almost got killed on the freeway, and if it had been today, they'd have been dead. Okay? And they all came back to my studio shaking and crying because the police almost killed their asses.
F the police coming straight from the underground. A young nigga got it bad cause I'm brown. Not the other color, so police think they have the authority to kill a minority. Not me, cause I ain't the one for a punk motherfucker with a badge and a gun. I mean, these were lyrics. Take yourself back to the 80s. Nobody was saying stuff like this. No one was talking about F the police at this time. And boy, did this get them into a lot of trouble. They got into a lot of trouble with police forces all over the country. They even got a letter from the FBI. A rap group got a letter from the FBI.
It's like when we wrote the song F the Police, it's the stuff that we've been through before and that everybody around us been through. People been going through for years, but we was, everybody else was scared to put it on record. So we put it on record and said it how we wanted to say it, and everybody didn't pay attention to it till Holiday caught this Rodney King beating on tape. Then everybody's going, oh, that's why they did this song, F the Police, because everybody's putting us down for doing the song. The FBI was sending us letters, and, police was harassing us. Oh, so you the ones that did the song, F the Police. I ought to beat you a little, stuff like that. Now, since all this happened, everybody really paying attention to it now. Banning us from all the venues. We couldn't even go out on the road, because for the song and other reasons, they think we was going to cause a lot of trouble, but it's all bull,
I don't know how true the scene in Straight Outta Compton was, where they were in Detroit and the police backstage told them not to play the song or they were going to get arrested. I know that Straight Outta Compton movie, if you're taking that fact for fact, then you know nothing about NWA, because that movie has so many holes and lies in it. But that being said, they were pressured not to play the song at certain venues in fear of being arrested.
Y'all know what the motherfucking police trying to tell us backstage? They try to tell us what the fuck we can't play. Motherfuckers trying to tell us what the fuck we can't say.
Could you imagine being arrested for a song back in the day? And this is a rap group. Now, NWA, along with groups like 2 Live Crew, who are popping around this time as well, they were the reason you see the little parental advisory sign, that sticker, remember when you used to buy CDs and things like that, and on the bottom you see the parental advisory sticker, can't buy unless you're over 18 or something along those lines, or parents, be warned, if you buy this, your kids are gonna grow up to be Democrats. Like, I don't know, like, you know, if it was really used before this, but I know they slapped that sticker on every single CD and tape. Let's go back to tapes, because CDs weren't even popping back in the 80s and early 90s. But yes, they put this on every tape to let parents know, hey parents, this has some crazy language. And I remember hearing it like it was yesterday, the first time, it is hearing NWA, Dr. Dre, and they're saying things that, oh my God, how are they getting away with this? And we would have to turn the volume down so our parents or my friend's parents couldn't hear the music that was pumping out. I'd walk around the house with my Walkman, no one knowing what I was listening to. Just F the Police coming straight from the underground. A young nigga got it bad because I'm brown. So many people felt that song. So many people felt that song. At this time, blacks were getting their asses whizzed by the police. Once again, going back to Straight Outta Compton, I don't know how true that particular scene is as well, but they were in Torrance, and the police approached them, and it was all a big hubbub, and they were thrown on the ground, and then Jerry Heller, the white savior, comes out and saves them. And then they go in the studio and they release F the Police straight after that. I don't know how true that was. I'm sure each and every one of them, probably as being young black men in the 80s, were messed with by police, as most of us were.
You can't come down here and arrest people just because of what they look like. Are you crazy? But that's police harassment.
You said you were a manager, right?
Yeah.
Not a fucking lawyer.
Does that matter? You cannot come down here and harass these guys because they're black. People have rights. Step back. Right, step back. I'll step back. You let them up. Get up, guys. Come on, Eric.
You don't tell them to get up.
I'm stepping
we
back.
We will decide that.
You have no idea. The people I know. I'm going to call the mayor's office.
Step back.
But I don't know how true that scene was. But it doesn't take away from the fact that that is an amazing song. And back then, millions of black kids and Hispanic kids across the country, they were feeling it. They were understanding this song. So much so, man, that the cops were pulling up the stoplights, and the car next to them would be bumping F the Police.
They didn't like the song, and the promoter that we were doing the shows for said, yo, we'll put you on tour, but you can't perform that song. Cops everywhere, they ready to shut you down. So we agreed to that until we got mad at the promoter. We was like, tonight, we gonna do that song. We gonna tear this thing up.
See, the thing about Dr. Dre is his story is amazing. It has so many legs to it. I could be here for 5 hours just doing a Dr. Dre story. So I'm just gonna talk about Dr. Dre overall from what I remember and what I've talked to with Alonzo Williams on our show about. By the way, speaking of that, you can check out our show every single Tuesday if you want to hear it live, 6 p.m. Pacific, on the YouTube channel NWA Stories with Lonzo. NWA Stories with Lonzo. Lonzo is the godfather of West Coast hip hop. He is the reason Dr. Dre got his start. He is the reason Eazy-E got his foot in the door. Ice Cube. I mean, he is the reason NWA is and was and is going to be forever a major group in hip-hop history. Not just hip-hop, but music, period. And each group member has branched off and just continued to do their damn thing. R.I.P. to Eazy-E. But check out NWA Stories with Lonzo. Go over there, subscribe to that YouTube channel if you enjoy West Coast hip-hop and you want the real story of West Coast hip-hop, because there's a lot of lies out there. But Alonzo Williams was the man that was planting the seeds, that planted the seeds that produced the trees that we see right now, 35, 40, 45 years later. NWA Stories with Lonzo. Now, like I was saying before, I wanted to get that out of there real quick. Dre's story has so many legs. I mean, there's so many different parts to his story. I mean, the ruthless beef. I mean, the situation with D Barnes, where he, smacked her up. Unfortunately, the D Barnes, the host of Pump It Up, that was some punk shit. And there's so many stories, and I'm going to cover them on future episodes of Dusty Vision Radio. Don't get me wrong, this is only once a week that I do this, but I will cover those in the near future. We will get a little bit deeper into Dr. Dre's story. But this is just an overall view of what I remember from Dr. Dre and what Alonzo Williams has shared with me as well. But all right, so yes, we had F the Police. Huge song. Led to a lot of controversy and a lot of free press. Eazy-E was invited to the White House, ladies and gentlemen. Eric Wright was invited to the White House by mistake. It was all a mistake. So Eazy lives in Calabasas at this time. And when you hear the name Eric Wright, you ain't thinking some little 5'5" gangster from Compton. You're thinking it's going to be a white guy. So he was invited to the White House, and what publicity, what free, that was $1 million publicity right there. $1 million publicity right there. But this is all the doings of Dr. Dre's production. I mean, his production was beautiful back then. He was producing Eazy-E, all of Eazy-E's records. He was producing Michelle A. That's a whole other story. We're going to cover the Michelle A and Dr. Dre story and the Suge Knight web entanglement in the near future as well. But he did the DOC's album, one of the dopest albums ever, right? Like one of the dopest albums, hip-hop albums ever. He produced JJ Fad's debut album with the song Supersonic. I said the supersonic motivated rhymes I created. Yeah, that was it. I just saw them perform a couple of years ago in Long Beach at the convention center in front of 20,000 people, JJ Fad, and they rocked the house. They rocked it. They killed it. It was so good to see them on stage. Those fine asses. Fine ashes. I always had a little crush on JJ Fad back in the day. But let's see. Dre's time at Ruthless came to an end. Dre didn't like the direction things were going in. He didn't like the fact that he was producing all of these great rap albums and songs, and he's looking at his bank account and he's not seeing what he thinks he should be seeing. So he ended up leaving Ruthless. He parted ties with Eazy-E, and he ends up going to Death Row Records. And this is where he links up with the infamous Suge Knight.
The market we're going after, we're mainly for the people. I mean, for us, the West Coast, there's a lot of talent around that guys really don't have the opportunity to have a chance to prove themselves. So far as Jeff Entertainment goes with the studio and the films, we're giving all the youngsters an opportunity from all the neighborhoods where basically we haven't forgot where we came from. So we bringing all the talent back home.
I'm definitely going to do a future show on Suge Knight. He deserves a whole show in himself. He actually has a podcast right now from behind bars. Check it out. It's called The Last Call or something. I don't know. Just type in Suge Knight podcast. You'll find it on YouTube. It's pretty entertaining. I listen to it every week. He gives us behind the scenes of what he believes, his truth. He gives his truth. Let's just say that. He gives his truth. But yes, Dr. Dre links up with Suge Knight. And they go half on a baby. They go half on Death Row Records. And this is my favorite time in hip-hop right here. I would say my favorite time in hip-hop started in 92, probably 92 to like 95, 96. That was my favorite time in hip-hop. Such a great time. The music to me was amazing. The music was some of the best it will ever be. And this is when Dr. Dre produced some of his best music ever. I mean, the Chronic album, Snoop's album, Dog Pound, Dog Food. That album is sick. I'm going to do a future show on The Dog Pound. That's a legendary group right there. I mean, he was working on albums for Nate Dogg. Unfortunately, it didn't really come out. The Lady of Rage, that was another one that didn't come out, man. We're going to have to do a show. I know I'm going to have to do a lot of shows, but I'm going to have to do a show on all the albums that were not released on Death Row Records. How about that? All the albums that were not released on Death Row. Man. But before the Chronic, I'm getting a little ahead of myself, but, after Dr. Dre left Ruthless Records, the first time we ever heard him on the comeback by himself was on Deep Cover. And that's a song he did with Snoop Dogg for the Deep Cover soundtrack. And that was the first time I'm like, okay, Dre is back, and he's not with Eazy E. He's not with Ice Cube. He's not with Yella. This is just Dre. And it was a good song. Yeah, and you don't stop, 'cause it's 187 on a motherfucking cop. And back then I didn't even like that song, and I don't even to this day. I don't care for it to this day, to be honest. It's obviously a classic, but it's not my favorite song. In fact, I like the one that Fat Joe and Big Pun did better. They did a Twins like 98 or something like that, and I think it was way better. Dead in the middle of little did we know that we riddled two men who didn't do diddly. R.I.P. Big Pun, man. But yes, Deep Cover came out, and then he hooks up with Suge Knight to bring out the Chronic, and the Chronic had, Corrupt, Daz, RBX, the Lady of Rage, Nate Dogg, Jewel. The Who's Who. It's a classic album. I did a whole show on the Chronic album, so type in Dusty Vision Radio Chronic album, and you'll find it in my archives. Such a great album. I'm not going to get too much deeper into that album since I literally did a whole 45-minute show on it just about a month ago.
Death Row is going to be big, huge. We have the best acts coming out. Oh, not we. Look at me, like it's my label, really? This is Death Row, really. It is. But I'm on it, so it's mine too.
What I'm doing right now is I'll be putting out a solo album soon. Called Overdose. It'll be out maybe the end of May. It's gonna be hitting.
And when's my stuff gonna be out?
Back to what I was saying. My solo album will be out in May.
Next up was Doggy Style. And I remember there was no bigger anticipation for a rap album than Doggy Style. Everyone was waiting for that Snoop album. And when I mean everyone was waiting for that Snoop album. Me included, and I bumped the hell out of it. I let the tape knock till my tape popped on the Snoop Dogg album, Doggy Style. Such a great album. I will definitely do a show in the future on Snoop Dogg's Doggy Style, because man, that's a Long Beach representative right there, and Snoop is and was the epitome of Long Beach, and he represented us so well back then. Even to this day, he represents us well, but Snoop is bigger than Long Beach now. Snoop is worldwide, but back then it was so cool that we had our own rapper. Like, this is our rapper, man. He's from Long Beach. It's so cool. But yeah, so let's see. So Death Row's cracking. We all know the whole Death Row story. We don't have to go into that into detail. But let's see. Enter Tupac in 95 when he was signed by Death Row Records. He ended up collaborating with Dr. Dre on California Love. To this day, I do not like that song. I can't stand that song. The reason why I can't stand it is because when I was a kid, when it was out, they played that the whole summer. Like, every time you turn on the radio, every time there was a video on, it was California Love. And look, I'm sure I'm the minority. I'm sure, obviously, millions of people love the song, but it was never one of my favorites. But I get it. It's a club song. It's a dance. It makes you feel good. Takes you back to being, with the Zapp and Roger and all that. I get it. I get why it's a great song. It's a well-produced song. It's not one of my favorite songs whatsoever. But let's see. So yeah, Pac and Dre, they do their thing. They collab. Dre produces a lot of the music for Pac's Death Row debut album, along with Daz Dillinger, who probably produced the majority of it, but didn't get the proper respects and props and credits he deserved. Daz Dillinger, that's another one I got to do a show on. There's so much show, man. I'm telling you, stick around to Dusty Vision Radio, man. Every week I'm gonna have something totally different for you because there's so much to talk about. But Daz Dillinger, man, if it wasn't for Daz, I don't know if there would be a Death Row. Bam, I said it. If there was no Daz, I don't think there would be a Death Row Records as we know it. As we know it. But this is about Dr. Dre. So yes, we all know the story. Dr. Dre, they're beefing with Ruthless Records. They're going back and forth. Dre is, ends up falling out with Suge Knight. Things just get rough at the Death Row Studios. Pistols are being pulled out. A lot of gang stuff going on. And Dre is just not feeling the vibes. He's like, I got to get out of here. So he decides to bounce. Dre is out, and according to most accounts, he left with nothing. He left with nothing but a peace of mind. Now, once again, the Straight Outta Compton movie, they got to get all dramatic. I don't think it happened the way it happened in the Straight Outta Compton movie where Dre like turns around all dramatic and be like, aftermath, and was like fucking goes into the smoke and
I'm starting my own thing. You can't put a price on peace of mind. I'm out. I got all this nigga's money. I got everything. Get the fuck out. Go. So what you gonna call that bullshit? Aftermath.
Oh, once again, if you believe that movie word for word, fact for fact, I'm sorry. You got to come check us out on NWA Stories with Lonzo because we are the real Straight Outta Compton. We will give you the real. All right? NWA Stories with Lonzo on YouTube if you want that real stuff and not that Hollywood stuff. But Dre ends up parting ways. Tupac ends up dissing him on several tracks. Tupac was calling him, saying he was part of the LGBT community. Saying, words that I'm not going to say on my YouTube channel. Claiming that Dre was doing things, behind the scenes with other men and all that. Who knows if that's real or who knows if that was just Pac being upset and Pac being Pac. But Dre leaves and he starts Aftermath. Notice Dre has had several reincarnations of it. He started with World Class Wrecking Crew, did amazing things there. Went over to Ruthless Records, did amazing things there. Went over to Death Row Records, did even more amazing things there. And now here we come to around 1996, the year I graduated. I remember this. I remember. 1996, Dr. Dre releases, it was late 96 too. It was like the winter time. I remember because the summer had already passed. Unfortunately, Pac was gone. Like this was a weird time in hip hop, ladies. Late 1996 was weird. And it even got more weirder in 97 when Biggie was taken from us. But it was just a weird time. And, Dre decides to release an album that, by all accounts, was a flop. But I thought it was a good project. I enjoyed the project. But he ended up doing a lot of East Coast stuff, producing for Nas and Foxy Brown and Eazy. He actually released the Firm's first album, which was a really good album, in my opinion. But once again, it got a lot of negative reviews. I think the album is great. But Dre did release his own solo track, Been There, Done That. Didn't like it. I've been there, done that. You got gun, I got straps. Been 100 motherfuckers done a month ago. Never liked it. Look, Dre, you can't like everything. Even though you like artist or producer, you can't like everything they do, right? I'm just keeping it real. Like Andre 3000, Nas, Eminem, Jay-Z. I love their music, but there's also songs that I do not like from them. I'm just like, why did you make this? Just because you like somebody doesn't mean you have to like every single song they make. But Dre came out with the Been There, Done That, and I wasn't feeling it. I was like, okay, I'm good. So I was skeptical. Of Dre. Then he released a Firm album. I was like, okay, that's cool that, he had some involvement in that. I really like that. But where Dre came back to me, and it took a few years, was around 1998, 1999, when he signed an artist by the name of Eminem.
Stove in his pig, drove in his big Lincoln till it went over the bridge. Jumped out and dove in the ditch, broke in the mobile home and stole the stove in the fridge. Kidnapped the parents and left the ransom note for the kid.
Chicka, Slim Shady. Hotter than a set of twin babies. In a Mercedes Benz with the windows up when the temp goes up to the mid-80s. Calling men ladies. Sorry, doc, but I've been crazy. There's no way that you can save me. It's okay, go with him, Haley. Da, da. When I first heard Eminem, it was over. It was a wrap. I was like, what is this? Who is this? And I need more. I first knew about Eminem before he was even Eminem. Just listening, following the underground circuit he was on, swaying tech, and he was freestyling under Slim Shady. And I just remember hearing the name Slim Shady, and I'm like, man, whenever this Slim Shady guy drops an album, I'm going to buy that fucking album. But just looking out for Slim Shady, didn't even know. And then I hear this song come out called, hi, my name is what? My name is who? My name is Slim Shady. There he is. That's the guy. There he is. Hi, kids. Do you like violence? Would you like to see me rip 9-inch nails through each one of my eyelids? Want to copy me and do exactly like I did? Try sit and get messed up worse than my life is? Come on, dog. Really? And then Dre's production just meshed up so well. So well. It just... so beautiful. Perfect. Doesn't get much better than that. They were like peanut butter and jelly. And this took Dre to another stratosphere because Eminem is the biggest selling rapper to this day. He has more number ones than Elvis Presley. I mean, he's a worldwide phenomenon. And Dre, that solidified Dre. Dre had already proved what he could do with Snoop, right? He already proved what he could do with Eazy-E, right? And now he did it for a third time with Eminem. Get out of here. So he links up with Eminem. And they do their thing. Eminem is blowing up. And in the meantime, Dre's like, man, I got to put out another album. Let's put out another album. So he decides to put out Chronic 2001. But the album was released in 2000, right? Or like 99. It was like, it was released for 2000. It was like right before 2000. It was supposed to be Chronic 2000, but Suge Knight ended up, I guess, getting wind or like something along those lines, and he ended up releasing Suge Knight Presents Chronic 2000 like 5 months earlier. So he's like, I can't call it Chronic 2000, so I'll call it Chronic 2001.
Were you on death row when they put out the Chronic 2000?
Yeah.
So whose idea was that?
That was Suge Knight's idea. He was trying to get back at Dr. Dre.
That Chronic 2000 album, I remember it was okay. It was all right. That Chronic, Suge Knight, the one that Suge Knight put out, it was okay. I think it was mostly whack, to be honest, but it was okay. It was okay. So anyway, Dre said, screw it. I'm still calling it what I'm just going to change it to Chronic 2001. And that album right there, guys, that album had Corrupt. Obviously, it had Exhibit, Nate Dogg. It had Snoop. It had Devin the Dude, one of the GOATs. It had Nocturnal, King T. Eminem, obviously, Cocaine. Sheesh. Mary J. Blige. This album takes me back to a good time. I remember Chronic 2001 like it was yesterday, and it was such a great time and a great album and so well produced. One of the best produced albums in hip hop history. Once again, Dre did it again with Chronic 2001. He won all kinds of awards. They did an Up in Smoke tour. Oh, I wish I could have went to that Up in Smoke tour, man. That must have been the shit. Eminem, Snoop, Cube, all them. Oh, man. Yeah, I just missed it. But yeah, that was a great album, and Dre proved again that he could do the damn thing and keep it pushing and keep it pushing. And obviously, Eminem branched off, the Dr. Dre tree, and if there was no Dr. Dre, there would be no 50 Cent, who went on to sell 15 million albums and just became a worldwide phenomenon himself. You know what I mean? So Dre is responsible for a lot, ladies and gentlemen. Now, 2001. We're like, all right, Dre, when you gonna drop that next album, player? We ready? We ready? Who's ready for another Dr. Dre album? Raise your hand. I raise my hand. Everybody in the room raises their hand. 2001, 2002, 2003, 2004, 2007, 2017, 18. We're hearing about this album called Detox. Gonna be released 2007, gonna be released 2011, gonna be released 2014, gonna be released. Oh, it's coming this year, 2017 along. Oh, trust me, it's gonna be coming when the Straight Outta Compton movie is released. We're gonna do it simultaneously. But no, man, we still to this day have not seen the Detox album. We've seen other albums that other music that he was working on that was supposed to be for the Detox album, but they ended up going on other projects. Apparently Dre is that much of a perfectionist to where he just doesn't, he's like, no, I'm good. And not to mention, he's making so much money, once again, from the Eminems of the world and all his stuff from the past, his royalties and things like that. Definitely Eminem, 50 Cent. And then not only that, he ends up signing one of the biggest deals in history with Beats by Dre, right? Him and Jimmy Iovine, weren't they partners in that or connected or something along those lines? Forgive me if I'm wrong. But that put Dre into billionaire status. I mean, billionaire shot him to the moon. You thought he was already up there with Eminem and 50 Cent and all that? Now he has these Beats by Dre, and that just took him to a whole other level. Beats by Dre, I don't see him as much around anymore as I used to, right? They were a big hype back, when they first not were released, but when they were like the big talk. Me, I roll with my Sony headphones. Like, Sony has never done me wrong, and I dare anyone to find better quality than Sony. For half the price. That's just me. So I was never the one to go, I'm gonna wear these Beats by Dre because they have a big B on the side. Plus, because we're getting robbed for those shits in LA. So I was like, nah, I'm not trying to get a gun pulled in my head for no stupid headphones. And then people were making fake beats. You'd see fake beats of like the Swap Me where the B was upside down. It was a D. You're like, wait, that's a D, not a B. You're like, oh man, my bad. But hey, they still wearing. Nah, get them shits out of here. But Dre's career has been amazing. I guess there's no other words for it. Just a couple of years ago, he performed at the Super Bowl. Many would say the best Super Bowl performance in history. I would say that. Such a great performance. Great performance. And Dr. Dre finally gave some props to Alonzo Williams when he put Eve After Dark on the set that he was performing on top of. Dre also had a lot of health issues, unfortunately. He actually just recently mentioned that he had 3 strokes after the brain aneurysm that he had in 2021. You guys remember that? Like, it was a little scary time though. We literally thought we were about to lose Dre, but he had a brain aneurysm and he ended up suffering 3 strokes for that. Things that we don't know, right? Things that we don't hear. He kept that out of the public good because he just talked about that like yesterday or the day before or something like that. And everybody's like, wow, didn't know that, including myself. But yes, once again, I will go more into detail in the future of Dr. Dre, and specifically, I want to talk about the Ruthless Records versus Dr. Dre. I want to go more into the Ruthless Records versus Death Row battle. I want to go more into that. There's other things that I want to discuss. The Dr. Dre D Barnes situation. I'm going to talk about that. I also want to discuss a few other things. Even him leaving Ruthless and going over to Death Row. I'm going to talk about that in the future. I also want to talk about Suge Knight. I'm going to do a whole show on Suge Knight. So just stick around to Dusty Vision Radio every Saturday live. If you want to check it out live, I do it live at 8 p.m. Pacific Standard time right here on DustyVisionTV, my YouTube channel. So please, please, please tune in if you want to hear it live, or you can just check it out on the replay. Either way, I really do appreciate each and every one of you. And just keep checking in for your boy, man. Just keep, helping me out with those likes. Hit that like button. Please hit that like button. Please hit that subscribe button if you like what you hear. If you are a fan of hip-hop, West Coast hip-hop specifically, please do hit the subscribe button and the notification bell. And if you are feeling a little generous and you want to throw me a few bucks, there is a super chat link right there. You'll see the $sign. Just click on that and send your boy a few bucks, or you can do a super thanks. You can literally just super thanks me as well later on when you're listening to it after I have already recorded the show. Definitely appreciate each and every one of you. I want to ask you also to go to Rumble, the Rumble app. Download the Rumble app, RUMBLE, Rumble, and type in Dusty Vision Radio in the search, and please subscribe to me on Rumble. I'm trying to build my platform over there. It's a more uncensored version of what I do over here on YouTube, and I'm posting content over there every single day as well. So please download the Rumble app and type in Dusty Vision Radio and subscribe to me over there. If you're on Instagram, I'm Dusty Vision Radio at Instagram. If you're on Facebook, I'm Dusty Vision TV on Facebook. And please do follow my second channel, which is the name of this show right here. The second channel, though, is Dusty Vision Radio. So if you type in Dusty Vision Radio right here on YouTube, please follow my second channel as well. I post content in there daily also. I do appreciate each and every one of you. I want to wish you a very, very great morning, afternoon, or evening, depending on when you are listening to the sound of my voice. And I'll talk to you soon. Peace.
I love the idea of being memorialized on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. It's an incredible tribute to my artistry. Growing up in Compton, I never imagined that I would one day be represented here among some of my childhood heroes. We've heard the saying a million times before, focus on your passion and the rest will follow, and that's exactly what it is for me. Pouring my whole soul and self into my passion for hip-hop led me on a pathway to an incredible career, and I've been fortunate enough to make a living doing exactly what I love to do. How about that? Isn't that the dream, right? Yeah. And over the course of my career, I've had the privilege of finding and nurturing new talent as well as pushing the boundaries of hip-hop, both in content and substance. But I'm most proud of elevating the clarity and sound of how we experience hip-hop. Getting that thing right is one of my greatest achievements. The clarity of hip-hop. I love that this honor is unique to Los Angeles and brings fans from all over the world to my hometown to connect with their favorite artists. So, yeah, I'll be here forever. Yeah. I'm incredibly grateful for your support throughout the years. Most of us have grown up together, and at nearly 60 years old, you're still rocking with me, and I really appreciate that. Yeah, thank you so much. Which is really good because I'm nowhere near done. You better believe there's a lot more coming. And I want to thank everybody that showed up here to show support for me. Thank you so much for coming out to represent. I appreciate you. Thanks a lot.